Dear children, let us continue the chapter Crop Production and Management. In previous class, we have studied about the crops, different types of crops, and the seasons during which the crop plants are grown, and the activities that are involved in the agriculture by the farmer, that is the preparation of soil, plowing, sowing of seeds, using different tools in the agricultural activities that all you are studied in the previous video. Now let us continue the another set of agricultural activities that are carried out by the farmer in their field. Now in this class we will study the nurseries. Nursery is a piece of fertile land where seeds are sown and then transplanted to the main field. In previous video we have seen that the farmer is sowing the seeds into the main field directly by using the seed drillers. But here the farmer is sowing the seeds in a small piece of fertile land, and that piece of land is enriched with the nutrients. It is free from any of the weed. So in that piece of land he sows the seeds. After growing them into a seedlings, small plants, they are removed from the nurseries and then transplanted to the main field. That is called what? The nursery. What are the advantages of the nurseries? By sowing seeds in the nurseries, we can select only the healthy seedlings to transfer into the main field. And seedlings that are developed very weak and smaller, they can be discarded. Only the healthy seedlings are selected and transferred to the main field so that we can get the good yield. And it is also possible to maintain appropriate distance between the plants. Why? Because we are planting the seedlings. So therefore we can maintain the distance. But in previous video we have seen the sowing seeds by using seed drills where we cannot maintain the distance between the plants. But here we can maintain the appropriate distance between the crop plants so that every plant will get the sufficient sunlight, nutrients, water from the soil. See, this is what? The nursery here. Here the farmer has sown the seeds, paddy seeds here. Paddy seeds in this piece of land. After growing them into a seedlings. See, the seedlings are removed by the farmers and then they select the healthy seedlings and then transfer to the main field. Okay, and while transferring into the main field, the farmer maintains distance between the seedlings. And in third image, what we are seeing is the farmer has grown a chili seedlings in a nursery. And these chili seedlings, they are removed from the nurseries and healthy ones are selected and then they are transferred to the main field. See, here the appropriate distance is maintained between the seedlings so that the crop plants will get sufficient water, sunlight and the nutrients for their healthy growth. So this is about what? The nursery. Even after doing this, all the plants in a field, they won't grow equally. Some grow very taller and they grow healthy. And some grow very weak and shorter. Why this difference we see? This difference is due to the difference in the availability of the nutrients. In some part of the field, they get a good nutrients. And in some part of the field, there are no nutrients or less nutrients. So the crop plants in that area, they won't get the sufficient nutrients. So therefore, their development is also very weak. Then, how can we supply nutrients to all the plants equally? That is done by adding manures and fertilizers. Then what are manures and fertilizers? See, manures and fertilizers are the substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of the crop plants. They are the substances that are added to the soil. In the form of what? In the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of crop plants. They are called manures and fertilizers. Then what is manuring? This is the process of adding manure or fertilizer to the field to replenish the soil with the nutrients. That process we call as a manuring. There are two types of the manures and fertilizers. They are organic manures and chemical fertilizers. Organic manures are those which are obtained by the natural process. The organic manures, they may be obtained from the earthworms, they may be obtained from the decomposition of the plant waste or animal waste. They are natural one. Whereas chemical fertilizers are man-made. You can also call them as artificial fertilizers. These are produced in the factories. For example, urea, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, potash, NPK, that is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium fertilizers. These all are chemical fertilizers that are prepared by adding different chemicals in a factories. Now we'll go for the organic manures first. There are lots of advantages of the organic manures are there. Organic manures, application of the organic manures into the field. It increases the water holding capacity of the soil. It makes the soil porous. That means it makes holes in the soil due to which the exchange of gases becomes very easy. Why soil requires gases, that is oxygen? Because the organisms, microorganisms, insects that live in the soil, they need oxygen for their respiration. And roots of the crop plants, they also need for their respiration so that they can grow in a proper way. So that exchange of gases makes easier and possible by application of the organic manure. Organic manure, it also increases the growth of soil microbes, useful microbes, and it improves the soil texture. Quality of the soil is improved by adding the organic manure. Many advantages are there, but only one disadvantage is there. That is, it is relatively less rich in the plant nutrients. As because it is formed naturally by the animal waste, plant waste, by the earthworms and all, it may not contain all the required nutrients for our crop plants. Okay, but many advantages are there. If you use regularly the organic manures, okay, the fertility of the soil increases day by day or year by year. Okay, now I'll go to the pictures. See, this is the heap of the dung, cattle's dung, that is excreta of these cattle's, cow dung. The farmer makes the heap of the cow dung in his backyard and then he transfer it into his field as a organic manure. And these are the earthworms. They feed on the fallen leaves and all, and their excreta acts as a manure. And this is the heap of the plant waste that gradually converts into a manure by the action of microorganisms. And then it is applied as a manure for the field. And this is one of the hydrophytic plant called azolla that grows on the top of water in water bodies. These azolla plants have got the capacity to absorb the atmospheric nitrogen and then converting them into nitrates and then store in their body. So therefore, these stores the nitrogen in the form of nitrates in their body and they act as a nitrogen fertilizers. These azolas are grown in a large scale by the farmers in some places in a tanks, well and all, and then removed from the waters and then dried crushed into a powder and applied into the field as a nitrogen fertilizer. So these are the four types of organic manures which we can see. Okay. Now we'll go to the chemical fertilizers. The advantage of using chemical fertilizer is it is very much rich in the plant nutrients. So according to the requirement of our crop plants, we can choose the chemical fertilizer. So therefore, we get a better yield, good yield. But the use of the chemical fertilizer has got many more disadvantages. This is the only advantage, that is chemical fertilizers, they are very rich in the soil nutrients. Therefore, we get a better yield, good yield. But the excessive use of fertilizer has made the soil less fertile as it kills all soil microorganisms useful for crop plants. It causes soil pollution, it causes water pollution. Indiscriminate use of these chemical fertilizers may even get accumulate in the crop plants, and then when we consume these crops, they are entered into our body and causes different diseases or disorders. So therefore, the use of chemical fertilizer must be reduced. Okay, but organic manure you can use in an unlimited quantity. Okay, so apart from these, see, these are the chemical fertilizers. This is the urea, NPK fertilizer. These are the different types of chemical fertilizers that are prepared in the factories and supplied to the crop plants in the form of nutrients to get a better yield. Apart from the chemical fertilizers and organic manure, there are the another methods are also there to replenish soil with the nutrients. They are the crop rotation method and mixed cropping method. These are the another methods of replenishing the soil with the nutrients. The crop rotation method, in which what we do is we grow different crops alternatively in the same field, is called crop rotation. For example, if we sow leguminous crops, that is dicotyledonous crops in one season, for example groundnut, pulses, green gram, Bengal gram, any dicotyledonous crop you can grow in one season. In next season you can grow the monocotyledonous plants, because leguminous plants, what they do, they give shelter to the soil bacteria called rhizobium bacteria. These rhizobium bacteria, what they do, they get shelter in the roots of these leguminous plants. They grow in the roots of these leguminous plants and they absorb atmospheric nitrogen directly and convert them into nitrates and store in the roots as well as in the soil. And the same nitrates are absorbed by these leguminous crops and fulfill their nutrients requirement. In next season, after harvesting these leguminous plants, the roots remain in the soil. They dries up and they become a good fertilizer. In next season, if you grow a monocotyledonous crop, that is wheat, jawar, maize, any of them. In these monocotyledonous crop plant roots, rhizobium bacteria, they won't grow. So therefore, there is no production of the nitrates now. These monocotyledonous, what they do, plants what they do, they utilize the nitrates that are already present in the soil. They are prepared in the previous crops, during the previous crop plants. So therefore, these wheat, they utilize that nitrate and grows. In next season, if you grow again the monocot, wheat, jawar or anything, they won't get the nitrogen content. So therefore, what we have to do is, we have to grow again the leguminous crops. This is what the crop rotation. We have to rotate from monocotyledonous to dicotyledonous and dicotyledonous to monocotyledonous, so that we can enrich the soil with a nitrogen fertilizer. Another method is mixed cropping. In this method, the different types of crops are grown at a time in one field. That is, we are calling it as a mixed cropping. That is, growing different crops at a time in one field is called mixed cropping. For example, growing different types of fruit yielding crops in one field, or growing onion, cotton, jawar, chili at a time in one field. Okay, if one crop fails, the another crop can get a or can give a good yield. And the nutrient requirement of all these crop plants may be different from different crops. It may be different for onion, it may and different for cotton, jawar and all. So therefore, all these crop plants get a sufficient nutrient. This is the another method of replenishing the soil with the nutrients. See here, this is crop rotation method. See, in this, here we are observing this is the leguminous crops, green gram. In one season we are growing green gram, and next monocotyledonous, jawar, maize, wheat, anything. And again back to the dicotyledonous and then monocotyledonous. That is what we are rotating the crop. See here. Here in one season we are growing cotton, in next season we are growing leguminous, pea plant or Bengal gram, green gram, any leguminous plant. In another season, we are growing maize, wheat or anything. So like this, if we rotate the crops season by season, we can get a good yield, or we can replenish soil with the nutrients. See, this is mixed cropping. Here, different vegetables are grown together in a one field. See, the potatoes are grown, different vegetables are grown, onions are grown in a one field at a time. Here this papaya is there, banana is there, different types of fruit yielding crops are grown in one field at a time. So this is mixed cropping, so that the different crop may get different nutrients from the soil and grow healthy. This is about what? The another method of replenishing soil with the nutrients. Now, the next part of the agricultural activity, that is the irrigation. So, irrigation is not compulsory for farming. It is optional. It depends on the farmer. Some farmers can go through the irrigation, and some farmers, they may depend on the rains. Irrigation means the supply of water to crops at regular interval is called irrigation. What is the importance of water to the crop plants? Water is very essential for germination of the seeds. See, if you sow seed in a dry soil, seed won't get germinated. It requires minimum of water for its germination. So, germination of the seeds require water. For the photosynthesis of the plants, the water is required. Along with water, dissolved mineral nutrients are also absorbed by the roots. See, even though if soil is rich in the nutrients, if water is not there in the soil, these soil nutrients are not utilized by the plants unless they have the sufficient water in the soil. If soil is rich in the water, these soil nutrients, they get dissolved in that water, and then that water is absorbed by the roots of these plants. Along with the water, the dissolved nutrients are also entering into the plant body and fulfills the nutrients requirement. So therefore, water is essential for the absorption of these minerals by the crop plants, and it maintains the soil moisture. It protects the crop from both frost and hot air current. So therefore, water is very essential. What are the sources of irrigation then? There are different sources are there. Well, tube well, or you can also call it as a bore well, pond, lake, river, dams and canals. These are the different sources of the irrigation the farmer can use. The traditional method of irrigation are, this is the moat and pulley system. This is one of the traditional method. In this method, farmer with the help of pulley pulls the water out of the well and then pour into the field. This is the another one, chain pump method, in which the chain is tied with this pulley. As the chain rotates, the pulley lifts the water out and then pours into the field. The another method is Rahat and Dekli. In Rahat, a big wheel is there or a pulley is there to which the buckets are tied. As the cattle rotate these pulleys, these buckets they come up with the water and then pour them out of the well into the field. In the Ekli method, this is like a seesaw. At one side it is tied with a bucket and another side it is pulled down so that this bucket is becomes filled with the water and then farmer takes it away and pour into the field. So these all are traditional methods of irrigation. And these methods we won't use nowadays. And here in this method, lots of wastage of water occurs. Modern methods help us to use water economically. There are two modern methods that we are using, that are sprinkler system and drip systems. Sprinkler system, in this method, water gets sprinkled on the crop as if it is raining. It is more useful on the uneven land, hill stations, slopy areas where sufficient water is not available for the plants. It is useful for lawns, coffee plantation, gardens, onion crops, etc. And drip system. In this drip system, water falls drop by drop directly near the roots. In this method, water is not wasted at all. It is useful for the fruit, coconut, areca nut, gardens, etc. See here. These two pictures, what they do, what they show the sprinklers. These sprinklers, they sprinkle water over the crop plant. It seems as if it is raining. Whereas here the pipelines are arranged and the water is dropping drop by drop near to the roots of the crop plants. So there is a continuous supply of water to the crop plants. So these two are very economic methods that are used nowadays for an irrigation system. Okay. Now we'll go to the another agricultural activity, that is weeding. Weeding is nothing but what? The removal of weeds. Then what is weed? Weed is any undesirable plant that is grown along with the undesirable plant grown along with the crop is called weed. Why weeding is necessary? Weeds compete with the crop plants for water, nutrients, space and light. Thus, they affect the growth of the plants. And also, the growth rate of the weeds is much more faster than that of the crop plants. So, therefore, they compete for nutrients, space, light with the crop plants. So, therefore, and we get a very less yield. Even some weeds, they interfere in the harvesting, during harvesting. So therefore it is very essential to remove the weeds. There are different methods of weeding are there. Manual method, in which the farmer removes the weed with the help of their hands. Another one is the physical method, in which the farmer uses the tools, that is kurpi and all, to remove the weeds. Seed drills are there. They uproot the weeds. Seed drills are multi-purpose. They are used for seed drilling, removal of the weeds and also for preparation of the soil. And even some farmers, they use the chemicals called weedicides to kill the weeds. For example, 2,4-D is one of the weedicide that kills the weed. See here, this field shows the crop it is grown in a proper line is a crop that we are grown, and some other plants are grown in between. These are not required by us. These are called what? The weeds. The removing of these weeds, that is weeding, is very essential. See, these are the methods of weeding. Manual method. Farmer is removing with the weed with their hands. Here the farmer is using kurpi to remove the weeds. Here the seed drills are there to uproot the weeds. Here the weedicide is spraying over the weeds to kill them. So these are the 4 methods of removing the weeds. After removing the weeds, when the crop matures, it is removed. That is the cutting of crop after it matured. That is called as harvesting. And harvesting it is done manually by using the sickles or by a machine called harvester. After harvesting, what we do is we separate the food grains or grain seeds from chaff. This separation of the grain seeds from chaff is called threshing. Threshing is carried out with the help of a machine called combine. Combine, it is a multi-purpose tool. It is used for both harvesting as well as for threshing. Okay, and then the winnowing. Farmer with a small holdings of land do threshing by winnowing. He may not use combine. It may become costlier for him to bring this machine. At that time, he go for winnowing. Okay, the farmer with a small scale does the threshing by means of winnowing. See, that is harvesting by using the sickle, by using the combine, by using the sickle again. See, this is the sickle. By using this, the matured crop is removed. And this is the winnowing machine in which the grain seeds are separated from the chaff. And this is winnowing. It is done manually. When the farmer throws the seeds from upward down, the seeds are heavy, they fall directly onto the ground, and the chaff is very lighter, it spreads or it goes away from the seeds. So this is the manual method. Farmer with a small scale do winnowing. Okay, and this is the machine for using the threshing. Yes, after threshing, what we get? We get the food grains. And next step is what? Storage. Is storage of the food grains is also the last step of the or last stage of the agricultural activity. The storage of the produced food is a very important aspect in order to supply the food grains throughout the year for each and every people of the country. The processes undertaken by the farmer before storage are: the food grains are properly dried in a sunlight to reduce the moisture content in them to prevent the attack by insects, pests, bacteria and fungi. So therefore, before storage of these food grains, the farmer dries the food grains in sunlight. The storage structures in large scale are 2 types. They are grain silos and granaries. Grain silos are large metal containers with only one small opening. Okay. These are the 2 storage structures which are used in a large scale. And in small scale, farmer what he does, he fills the food grains in a gunny bags along with a dried neem leaves to prevent the to prevent the food grains by the attack of the insects. See, these are the grain silos. Here these are the huge metal containers with a small opening in which the food grains are filled. They are free from any infections, seepage, moisture content and other things. And these are the granaries. Here the food grains are filled in the gunny bags in a large scale and piled up by keeping them one above the other, and it is regularly fumigated to prevent the insect infections. So these two are the storage structures that are used for large scale storage of the food grains. So this completes the activities that are involved in the agricultural practices. There is another branch of agriculture called animal husbandry. It is also a branch of agriculture where animals are reared, they are allowed to bred, they are raised for the purpose of meat, fiber, egg, milk and other food products is called animal husbandry. See here, see here. These cattle are reared for the purpose of milk and other milk products. These birds are raised, poultry birds are reared for the purpose of egg and meat. Here the geese are raised for the purpose of egg and meat. The sheep are reared for the purpose of their wool to get the fibers. See here the fishes are reared for the purpose of their flesh. The honeybees are reared for the purpose of their honey. The silkworms are reared for the purpose of silk, a fiber. Like this, different animals are reared by providing them a good shelter, a good food, nutrients and other things for their useful products. So this is also one of the agricultural activity or agricultural branch. In this the animals are reared, and more detailed about the animal husbandry you will study in the 9th standard. This completes the chapter crop production and management. Thank you.